Welcome back to Backward Point Podcast. My name is Nazar Sayed, and with me, as always, is my brother and co-host Bashar Sayed. Today, we are previewing the PSL, but it's going to be a different kind of a preview, not your typical breakdown team by team. I think we've already done that. So if you're interested in that, Bashar will leave a link somewhere here that you can check that out. What we're doing today is sort of just understanding where the PSL is in its 10th edition, where some of the teams are, some of the comments made already about this edition of the PSL, some of the owner wars that are going on right now, and just our take on the entire system of it, plus the window that the PSL finds itself in against another corporate league, T20 league. And we're going to discuss all of that on this episode of Backward Point. Bashar, floor is yours. Before I do that, though, I do want to mention, I want to take an aside. And I think this goes to what your taste and your recommendation. Last podcast, you made a Severance reference, and since then, me and my wife have finished the first season of Severance, which is, I think I'm not exaggerating, I think it's one of the best TV shows that I've seen in a very long time, especially that finale. Like, no spoilers at all in this podcast, but like, if you have not seen Severance and you are watching this podcast, pause, go watch the first full season and then come back. We are really excited to watch the second season, which is probably why this podcast will be cut short, because my wife has given me a 30-minute ultimatum. If this podcast does not end in the next 35 minutes, she will start without me, which is going to be a problem. But you've seen Severance, obviously. And one of the questions my wife asked me while we were watching the first season was, what part of your life would you want to be severed from? And I thought about it, and I was like, whenever I have to sit down and watch cricket, boxing cricket especially, I want my severed self to watch. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to go through that. And she looked at me. She was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm going to throw the question back at you, Bashar. What part of your life would you want your severed self to deal with and not you?
I think I have to agree with you.
Right? I think this is a joint answer, right?
It's only because we are Pakistan cricket fans, and the level of trauma and misery we've had to go through for the past couple of years has just been brutal, right? I need therapy. I need some PTSD medicine to help me get through this. And it just hasn't been easy.
What you need is a trip up the elevator, man. That's it. That's all it is.
It's actually been just over 2 years since we've been doing Backward Point, because our second episode happened right at the beginning of PSL 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now we are in PSL 10, episode number 157, I believe, 159. So congrats to you. Congrats to everybody who's been listening in and been watching along since whenever you joined in. It's been great. And we are glad to have everybody on board.
100%, man. And there's a lot of people that come up to us and like, I've been following you since the first episode. I'm like, first episode had like 300 views. So like, unless you're like literally one of the 300s, I don't know about that, but I appreciate everybody still being here. We're previewing this PSL now. I'm going to give you the reins. Where do you want to start this from?
Just going back to your severance analogy, I would not want these next 5 weeks to be severed.
Yeah.
Because the best thing about the PSL happening is that
it's the biggest league in the world.
Secondly, what I'm most happy about is that there is no sadness in the next 5 weeks. There is no depression.
Pakistan wins.
Because if Lahore wins or Quetta wins or Islamabad wins, the ultimate winner is Pakistan and cricket.
Yeah. That's the most diplomatic answer of all time. So I think people will be enjoying this already. Before we get anything started, Bashar, I think you and I have to make an announcement.
People are asking us, why are we
still in Canada?
In the eastern suburbs of Canada, the weather right now is -17, real feel. And why aren't we in Islamabad? Why aren't we recording podcasts with players? Why aren't we doing season 2 of the Islamabad United podcast?
And why aren't we?
I am here wearing my United merch.
Yeah, I have
my United shirt still hanging in the back.
That's never coming down, by the way.
Never.
If you guys are watching this on YouTube or on the video stream, there is a shirt on Bashar's left, which is the IU 2024, class of IU 2024 shirt. It has every single player, every single coach, every single management's signature on that, except for maybe, who isn't on this? There's one person.
Naseem isn't on
Naseem isn't on this. Everybody else is on this.
We'll catch him soon.
So like that's not coming down, regardless of what our status is. But make the announcement, man. You're the too much suspense building. This is worse than Severance pacing right now.
So unfortunately, we will not be joining Islamabad United this season. We were looking forward actually to building on the work we did last year. all the podcasts, all the clips across platform did 30 million plus views. It was the number one podcast of the PSL against its rivals, the rival teams.
Yep.
And we actually had a few really good conversations with the management at Islamabad United. We wanted to do not just podcasts this year, but we had a lot of other plans to make different sort of content that was going to be groundbreaking for the Pakistan cricket landscape. So we were aligned on a lot of things with Islamabad, except for a few more important things. So
the deal fell through.
So
but I think the deal fell through only for this year. I think it was a bit tight. A lot of new stuff happening in the PSL just because of the window being moved and some sponsors being
rights being renewed for next year.
Renewed as well, and some sponsors being interested, not interested. So it's a trial for everybody, and so it's growing pains as we say. But last year was a hell of a time for us. It was amazing, even though we were only there for literally like 96 hours or maybe even a little bit less than that, 4 days. It was a great time, and I think everybody, not just us, but everybody involved in that decision also had a really good time. And I don't think that this is the end of our partnership with the PSL. I think this is just a hiccup. We'll see.
This is like when Ross and Rachel took a break.
This is the break. Yes. In the meantime, though, the ideas that we did have, we're talking to other franchises and other leagues around the world. Some at home, some neighboring countries, some across the pond, and we're excited with the way that our channel keeps growing and how we can facilitate other leagues and other franchises and keep our story going as well as the story of cricket around us. So,
but looking back, I'm very proud of the work we did last year. I think our intentions were clear, and the sort of conversation we wanted to have with those players and the management. Looking back, I think those podcasts are timeless. My favorite
100%.
one still remains the Hanif Malik one.
Yeah.
And
if you guys haven't checked that out and you guys speak Urdu/Hindi, definitely check that out.
And maybe we'll get Hanif Malik on Backward Point very soon.
Sure. Well. Yeah. I think it's not the closing of the door. It's the opening of 100 other doors. And I'm just excited for what the future entails, man.
Let's go. I think one more announcement is that people are asking us, how are we covering the PSL this year? And this is going to be a big, major announcement that Backward Point is going to be doing a PSL daily.
That's crazy because we actually Bashar and I have like weekly meetings, even though we live in the same house. We're like, yo, an hour, let's talk about the podcast. And we thought heavily about this, and we took some feedback from our Patreon members, and a lot of them were like, yeah, just do daily. And daily doesn't strictly mean every single day. We could literally just take a day or two off if it's like a slow day or if Karachi's playing. And so it's gonna be exciting. We haven't done anything like this before. And everybody who's made daily content that I know that are my creator friends are just like, this is insane. It's a huge undertaking. Forget about your personal life. And you know what? I'm ready for it. I'm ready to get hunkered down in the PSL mindset and let it consume me.
I think I might even do a solo podcast. If you're not free, I might just sit on here, look at the camera, and just go for it.
Yo, I have a family and kids, and
I don't.
Yeah, and I mean,
you're my family.
I mean, I'm just like, I'm going to be busy some of the days. So if you want to do a solo podcast, it'll be funny if I'm the one who's doing solo pods instead. But very excited, man. Like, I think it's going to be, I don't think we'll be able to do like the way the Pro Sports does like an hour and a half podcast on every single thing that happens. Like there was one Pro Sport podcast that was covering the first T20I that Pakistan played in New Zealand. And that podcast was longer than the game itself. So don't expect that from us, guys. We're going to be 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes and in and out, just talking about the game, talking about what's going on, initial reactions, and moving forward with that.
So I think how it works is that the second match starts at 11 a.m. Eastern time here. So it'll finish around 3 p.m. for us. And we'll record a podcast in the evening. So what I'm trying to say is that the podcast should be out within 12 hours of the match finishing. Yeah. So it'll be like the morning after thing.
Yeah.
If you're in Pakistan.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm excited, man. I have never done an undertaking like this before. I used to create content on my own before Backward Point started, and that has taken a backseat. But because of the rigor and just the continuous demand of everybody who wants to listen to us talk on Backward Point, like the rejuvenation of that spirit is there. So I'm excited.
Let's go. So we're here now. This is the 10th edition of the PSL. PSL used to be a baby back in the day, but now it is going into double digits.
Yeah, middle school.
Middle school has its tantrums. Is the PSL really as big as the PSL management claims it to be? Why is this PSL so important? And is this really the biggest PSL of its entirety. So let's talk about the first thing, the importance of this PSL. This is the last major premier T20 tournament in Pakistan, right before the Asia Cup, which is scheduled to happen somewhere in October, September timeline. And then the next T20 World Cup, which is going to happen around the March time. So as much as the Pakistan selectors take the PSL seriously, a lot of the performances in this edition of the PSL might be imperative to how Pakistan constructs its T20 team going forward.
Not only that, I think this is going to be the end of one era and the start of another era with this PSL, because this might be the last time we see 6 teams play in this tournament. And maybe from next year, we'll have 8 teams. This is also a extremely volatile time for the PSL. It being, challenging, if not challenging, then at least competing for eyeballs during that slot against the IPL, which is a behemoth of its own, and wanting to be in that conversation of one of the top leagues in the world. The reason that the PSL is moved to this window is because players just were not interested in coming into this tournament when there's the SA20 going on, the ILT20 going on, the BPL going on, the Caribbean League going on. All these, we're sort of cannibalizing the whole pool of players. And sometimes I think about how we feel like there's too many leagues going on and there's too many cricketers, and then you have that window where like there's not enough cricketers at some point to have these leagues be important. So the PSL I thought was a wise decision to move that window over to against the IPL, take sort of the scraps of the IPL and build their own foundation upon it. And I think this will be a really interesting experiment. If it works, we might see a new window for the PSL for the next foreseeable future, which I'm totally okay with. And if it doesn't work, then there's a lot of thinking to do at the higher ups there.
Absolutely. I think this is going to be very experimental just to see how many eyeballs the PCB still gets on the PSL. And I think the sort of players we've gotten this year aren't as bad as we used to get in the past few years. Now, just looking back, I think PSL used to be in the conversation of the top 3 leagues in the world. And that was mainly because, firstly, Pakistan's own domestic talent used to be top notch, right? I think a good T20 league is based off of the local talent. And Pakistan had always produced some really good local talented players, especially fast bowlers. You talk to any of the players who've played in the PSL, the foreign players, and they would tell you that the fast bowling quality of the PSL is second to no other league in the world. That, and plus, back in the day, the PSL used to happen in Dubai. So Dubai is a lot more of a tourist destination, a good vacation spot for a player to go play cricket.
Also convenient for a lot of players.
Convenient. And we used to see some really big names like Kevin Peterson, Andre Russell, Brendan McCullum, AB de Villiers came and played the PSL. So we were missing those big stars in the past few years. So this year, having guys like David Warner, Matthew Short, Cam Williamson come in,
Jared Mitchell,
Finn Allen.
Yeah.
So this is going to be exciting for the PSL. Like you said, even the leftovers of the IPL are quite good enough to make the PSL a pretty big brand this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's no competition if we're being strictly honest. Like the IPL is its own thing.
There's the IPL, there's a load of crap, and then there's other leagues in the world.
Yeah, 100%. And the IPL, the way that it's run, the way that, I was listening to a podcast. Lilith Modi was on a podcast like some few years ago, and he was talking about just the ethos of that league, of melding basically the Bollywood and the cricket fraternity together and turning this into something new, which is exactly what the West does with the NBA, with NFL. The biggest case study is Travis Kelce versus dating Taylor Swift, and just the eyeballs that the NFL now has. Lilith Modi was able to do that with incorporating the Khans and the Preeti Zintas of the world and everybody trying to like fight for this spotlight. And so Pakistan just does not have that infrastructure. We don't have a thriving movie industry that can build bridges between the cricketing world and
even though fans are trying for the Babar Azam and Hani Amir thing to happen.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. Like that's just it's never going to happen. The gap is too big. And we've seen Pakistani actors and actresses in previous years be involved in the PSL. Everybody has a brand ambassador. I think Fawad Khan and Hani Amir were Zalmis at one point, and even the Islamabad United tried something like that. But it's just not sustainable. And because we don't have a thriving, or Pakistan does not have a thriving film industry, so that's fine. But the competition is a stale when it comes to what the IPL can offer and what the PSL can offer at this time. Now, there's like with everything that happens in Pakistan, there's a load of incompetency issues that has plagued the PSL, and there's a load of just vision issues. Now, I say that, I even hate saying the word vision because it sounds like saccharine and just like, full Allama Iqbal vibes, like, oh, the vision of the PSL. Like, it's just
Sir आपका vision है sir.
set up vision. Yeah, it sounds like that. Like, I'm not trying to be one of those, but it's just like, it's the 10th year, and year after year, I think the peak was about 3 or 4, PSL 3 or 4. And then year after year since then, when the bigger names have retired, like the Abdul Razaks, the Kamar Nakmos, Shahid Afridis, and Shazads have retired from the game, it just feels like there's been a void that has not been able to fill, like you said, within the local talent. And not only that, the management has not done anything spectacular to improve upon that. It's just the same Control C, Control V tournament every single year. And this is where I think would be a good segue to talk about sort of the rivalry that's going on in public between two of the owners of Multan Sultan, which is Ali Khan Tareen, and Salman Iqbal, which is the Karachi Kings ARY conglomerate owner. And Ali Tareen Saab says that there is a mediocrity issue in the PSL and the PCB, and that they keep saying they come out and say this is going to be the biggest PSL of all time. And Ali Tareen says, why? Why will it be the biggest? What have you changed? If it's the same thing that you've done in the 8th, 9th, and 7th edition of it, how is this any different? Why is it the biggest PSL? Just because you say it? And then Salman Iqbal has the opposite view, which is like, oh, we should support the PCB. This is a Pakistan-made product. Da, 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 da. Most people, I think, have been in tune to that argument, but I've sort of given a gist of it. Which side of the line do you find yourself on, Bashar?
I think I have to kind of agree with Salman Iqbal from Karachi Kings and ARY. It feels weird saying this, but I do have to agree with a bit of it, what he's saying. I think Ali Tareen's concerns are valid, but to come out in the public and dish them out does not sit right with me.
Why?
I think because ultimately the PSL is a Pakistani product and you are one of the owners of the PSL. I think you have to work within the system to help improve it rather than go out in the public and blast the PSL management, blast the PCB. I think the PSL is trying their best, but in the past we've seen perhaps the PCB has no real interest in growing the PSL because when the PSL happens, a lot of the powers get diluted within the teams. The 6 teams have a lot of ownership. They have a lot of power. They can do their own content streams and whatnot. And the PCB has time and time again put up tournaments and championships to cannibalize the PSL, whether it be the Pakistan Junior League, whether it be the Champions Cup. They're trying their best to minimize the impact and the importance of the PSL. And
which is a cash cow for them.
What we've heard is that the PSL is essentially a 3-man job. 3 people are working in the PSL and managing this massive tournament and expecting for outcomes to be competitive to the Big Bash or even the IPL, which is just impossible. I think it's also very important to notice is that Ali Tareen mentioned that teams like Karachi, Lahore, and Multan are still not making money. That is, to me, quite a bigger problem because guys like Salman Iqbal or Samin Rana or Ali Tareen, they're in this for the love of the game, but ultimately, this is a business. So if teams are not profitable and you're looking to add 2 more teams while the revenue sharing model stays the same, and actually you're going to have 2 more teams come in, so that pie of the revenue is going to have more slices, which is not favorable for a lot of the teams that are existing in the PSL.
So my view is the opposite of your view, which is that Ali Khan Tareen is probably coming out and saying these things because he's already voiced a lot of these things within the circle and nothing's happened. And this is why I feel like he's taking the avenue of the media and coming out and dishing all this internal gossip, is because there's no way out now. He has not found any other avenue that has worked. The fact that you know that half the stuff that you're talking about is Ali Tareen talking points. And I think it's important for him to come out and say these things to at least put some sort of pressure on the PSL management and the PCB management to improve. Because we've been sort of in that ecosystem a little bit, and we've talked to players and owners before. And Samin Rana was on the podcast, and we were with Islamabad United, and we've talked to players who play the PSL. And it's exactly what Ali Tareen says. Owners have the same sort of gripes that the players have, and players have the same sort of gripes that, even people that work behind the scenes, the digital management managers and social media managers and all that, they all have that similar gripe that this tournament just exists for 6 to 8 weeks and then everybody forgets about it until the next year, which is a problem. If you don't constantly work on this and constantly want to grow, then you will never grow. You and I both know that this tournament has stagnated. for the past 6 to 7 years, as has Pakistan cricket, as has everything in that region of the world. And there has to be some sort of onus shown. And if Ali Tareen comes out and says all this and the needle moves even a degree or two to the right direction, I think it's a win.
I think the PSL has stagnated, and in its competition, there's a lot more better leagues standing up, whether it be the ILT20 or the SA20. And the reason behind that is the Indian backing in these franchises. Now, that brings me to the point where this PSL is probably the most important PSL for Pakistan players. Now, Pakistan players, thanks to the PCB, have had multiple NOC issues with leagues in the past. Now, me and you, we have witnessed one of the most horrific incompetence jobs last summer when Babar Azam, Shaheen Afridi, and Mohammad Rizwan were signed up to play in the GT20 Canada. There were posters of Babar Rizwan, Shaheen all over Toronto, advertising fans to come and watch them play. And last minute, I mean, like a couple of days before the tournament started, the NOCs were taken back by the PCB. And same thing happened with Naseem Shah in the 100. And that, coupled with the fact that there's so much Indian backing in different leagues, there's Indian ownership now in the 100. There's, MI has like 3-4 different teams in different leagues, and those teams generally don't pick Pakistani players. So Pakistan as a cricketing nation and Pakistani players have been isolated and have been kept towards just the PSL. So for the Pakistani players, financially, this PSL is very important, just to make sure they keep thriving. And additionally, just to keep performing and having their name in the circuit of the PCB, guys like Hassan Ali haven't played for Pakistan in a while. And for them, PSL is a very important league. Rahman Reis last played for Pakistan about 6-7 years ago, but he is still a dominant force in the PSL. So he is somebody who looks forward to the PSL, and the Pakistani players, PCB, know that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important that Pakistani players do take this seriously. I don't think they don't take it seriously from what we've seen and heard and just witnessed. Also, we've talked to a lot of players that actually work towards the PSL when the year starts, and that's a big event for them. And I think it's important that not only as players, but as management, they take this PSL seriously. Because if there is a conspiracy around and there is sort of a cricket apartheid going on against Pakistan, trying to isolate it and push it to a corner, then the only thing that Pakistan can do is A, strengthen its roots, and B, just play good cricket. Like, we keep saying this. Like, if you play good cricket, people will forget and people will want you. If you play horrible cricket the way that Pakistan has been playing for the past 3 years, 2 years, then you further, the agendas against you further get furthered, and then you're just not just up against the world, but you're up against yourself as well. So this PSL is important in all those different aspects. I want to ask you a question. We've discussed the relevance and the importance of this PSL, but as a fan now, if I ask you to take your United cap off and put your fan cap on, is there hype around this PSL? Pakistan has gone 3 straight tournaments out from the first round. Pakistan lost a T20 game against the USA. Pakistan has lost against Afghanistan. Pakistan lost 2-0 test match series against Bangladesh at home. It's pretty down against downers for Pakistan. Pakistan, I think, only won 1 T20 match in like the past 3 or 4 months or 6 months or something like that. It's crazy, right? The hype around this, is it there?
I think as a Pakistan fan, if I wasn't doing this podcast, I would have been checked out of Pakistan cricket, the main national cricket team. But the PSL is when the fun happens. This is when you see Ali Zafar doing the anthem. This is when you see all the captains coming.
We didn't even talk about the anthem.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Well, let's talk about this and let's talk about the anthem.
Okay. So the hype to me is still there. The hype is building up. It's forthcoming as the players are arriving in Pakistan, as we see the footages of guys doing practice sessions. And again, I think this is going to be a different PSL, just with the sense that different window, better international players. And I think the hype is there. I feel the hype.
I think the hype, when we were in talks with leagues in Islamabad and all that stuff like 6 weeks ago, I feel like the hype wasn't there. And I was just like talking to these guys and like they're trying to build all this stuff. I'm like, for who? Like, these guys suck right now. And nobody wants to see Rizwan bat or Babar bat right now or Naseem bowl. Like, everybody on that circuit right now is so bad. I remember when last year we were covering the PSL, right? And you and I were in Islamabad United. And we saw Naseem bowl. And Naseem has just come back from his injury. And we're like, this is crazy. I feel like that hype exists for maybe Saim. Babar already has this like dedicated fan following that'll always be there, and all these star players have their dedicated fan following, and they will be there. But as the generalist, like I was talking to our cousin in Australia who was at the 2022 India versus Pakistan game, that that Virat Kohli single handedly won. He was there, and he's that guy like that follows cricket, and he's like, wait, there was a game going on against New Zealand. Like he had no idea the series that just went by that you and I covered, and the PSL. He's like, bro, these guys don't perform in international. They're gonna come out and score boatloads of runs and wickets right now. Like it doesn't matter to me. That's what he said to me. So now like that's a generalist fan that is sort of the outskirts of cricket. Like he taps in and out. And if he's tapped out, there's like maybe a lot like him, a lot of other people like him. And obviously there'll be people like you and I who listen to this podcast, who are on Patreon, who like just are in a Discord server that are just engulfed with this world. But as a generalist, I think until the PSL starts, I think that everybody's a bit apprehensive to join on the hype.
I think just on that note, I think there is a Pakistan cricket pulse. And right now the pulse is saying that the fans aren't really interested. A lot of them have checked out. And because of that, I think this is really a good thing for us, a blessing in disguise where we aren't working with Islamabad United. Because if we're doing podcasts with players, if I'm doing a podcast with the Seam Shot right now, you best believe I'm asking him about his fitness.
Yeah.
About why he's not taking wickets. Because if I'm not asking those difficult questions, then that I'm not being me. And if I'm not being me, then what is the point of doing this podcast?
I agree.
Right? I want to be asking difficult questions to the players where the fans want the answers.
But maybe Islamabad United's platform is not the way to do that.
Correct.
Right now. Because if you go to Shadab Khan, who's their captain and sort of the brain of the whole system, and you go and you ask them, you're like, Shadab, what happened, man? You're averaging like 59. What's going on? And he's like, either two things can happen. Either he gives us an honest answer and he's like, yo, this is what's happening. I'm working on it. I get it. I know the fans are disappointed. I totally understand. Or he gets really upset. And then the management gets upset. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I agree with you that I would not want to be in a position like that where I have to ask difficult questions, because that's the nature of our podcast. And I'd want to be true to us. And I also think that I don't think it would have gone that bad, because we now have a repertoire with these guys and they trust us. We're not out to get them. And I feel like they would be open to talking about this only to sort of get their POVs out, because we hear so many different noise now on social media that we hardly hear from the source. And Naseem is out and like, yeah, I know, man, I think I've gained a little bit of weight and I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work more on my bowling. And I think that would actually spin fans back and be like, okay, these guys are not unaware of their weaknesses and they're actually trying to work on this, and I'll give them a benefit of doubt.
And that's sort of line of questioning we had planned before we were talking about Islamabad doing season 2 with them. And it's not what we would ask, but it's the way we would ask it.
Yeah.
And hopefully get the answers that everybody is curious to know about.
I mean, you have to be respectful, right? You can't just go up and straight up and be like imagine if you were bad at your job or you were doing worse than you usually do, and just a random guy's like, yo, what the hell? Why aren't you crunching numbers like you used to, bro? And you're just like, bro, who the hell are you to tell me what I am or not doing? So you have to be very, you have to be cognizant of all that.
The work is mysterious and important.
Extremely
Severance.
important. Yes, that's true. That's
Reference.
true. What are you excited about when it comes to this PSL?
One thing, Saim Ayub's comeback. Saim Ayub has been declared fit. We've seen images of him practicing in Islamabad. He just had a video released where he was hugging Babar Azam from the back, and they had a very wholesome moment. They took a picture together. And I am excited to see Saim Ayub back in form, the savior of Pakistan cricket. And I just recently saw a stat, which I will share with all of you guys, about the Saim Ayub and Babar Azam opening pair. It is the most successful opening pair in the PSL history with respect to average and run rate. Run rate, very important. So Babar Azam and Saim Ayub have batted together 16 times, and they've scored over 1,000 runs together at an average of 67 and a run rate of 10.4. The second best in terms of average and run rate is Fakhar Zaman and Chris Lynn.
Now, we do know that Babar actually thrives in the PSL, and I think he has one of the lead run scores of that tournament, and with a really good strike rate. I think his strike rate in the PSL is like 140 or something. It's crazy. It's actually astonishing.
His overall strike rate is still below 130, but his strike rate in the past few years have been in the 140s.
Okay, I'll trust you on that. You're the stats guy. But it's better than it is in international cricket. And that's the point that I'm trying to make, that
it's the same.
It's not the same. I'm trying. Babar Sons, like I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying.
It's actually worse.
No
Babar's PSL overall strike rate is 127.4. Babar's T20I striker is 129.2.
Okay, I don't believe that. I need to double check that. Are you
Babar's
serious?
striker in the past
Give me 5 years.
2 years have been 142.6 in the last year, 145.4
There we
the
go.
year before.
I saw that number. So let's take for the past couple of years. And that's probably when Simon also joined PZ as well. Am I right?
Correct. Simon and also Haris. Haris is also very important.
In that, integral in that whole apparatus of how PZ functions. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that Babar is in the runs, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to be a spectacular tournament for him again. And it will beg the question at the end of the tournament that does Babar deserve a spot in the T20 Ice? And especially with the year that he had in 2024, I know that the World Cup sucked for everybody, not just Babar, but he was in the team of the year, and his strike rate in that year was about 139, 140. And so he did show the initiative of changing his game. He is capable of doing that. And will he make a case for himself before the Asia Cup and World Cup? I don't know. I've heard some rumors about rights and distribution and eyeballs and broadcasting, and that Babar is integral to that aspect of it. Now, I don't know the nitty-gritty of it all, and I don't even know if this is real or not. But I've heard that broadcasters want Babar Azam in the boxing cricket teams to sell ads. So if that might be a component of Babar coming back into the team. I'm not sure.
Do you watch Babar Azam bat or do you watch the Pakistan team bat?
I think both can be true. Why can't?
But you watch this New Zealand series
Yeah.
for T20s even though Babar was not playing.
100%. I think I watched Pakistan first, and then if Babar is there, I definitely watch Babar.
Babar is a bonus.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of Shahid Afridi for me. Shahid Afridi batted at 5 or 6, and he bowled 10 overs. So there's more of him to witness. And so I would wait for Shahid Afridi to come. Sometimes I would even, as a kid, I would hope that Misbah and Umar Akmal would get out early so that Shahid Afridi would come and score his stupid 10-ball 35.
So hypothetically, if Babar does have, let's say, a season where he scores 500 runs at a strike rate of 145, 150,
yeah,
do you think that warrants a place for Babar Azam in the next series against Bangladesh? Also considering the fact that Saim Ayub is fit, so Saim Ayub is an automatic pick back as an opener. What happens to Hassan Nawaz? What happens to Mohammad Haris? What happens to captain Salman Iqbal?
These are tough questions. I have no idea.
What happens to Fakhar Zaman, who's fit?
Yeah, I think they adjust Mohammad Haris in the middle order somewhere. I think that's probably going to be the take, because I don't think that Rizwan comes back into this team. If he does, then I protest. Maybe I quit this podcast. I don't know. But yeah, I think there are going to be some difficult questions. Definitely, because Babar and Salman are kind of the same player. So what do you do with that? And then Saim just walks into this team, right? And maybe Fakhar does too. I don't know. Maybe Fakhar plays 4.
Fakhar statistically can play at 4.
Yeah.
His average and strike rate at number 4 is actually very good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
140 plus strike rate.
I don't know, man. I don't want to be a chief selector for Pakistan at this point, only because of what the decisions that have been made in the previous past. Also, the decisions they will have to make very quickly. So it's going to be tough. But yeah, Saim is back. I'm very excited for that. I'm also really excited that Babar and Saim opening pair. I'm going to love to see that. I'm also excited for kind of like Sama United. Like, I'm feeling a little bit of FOMO because I'm starting to see the clips coming in, and obviously we still have friends in that camp and letting us know how much fun it is, and we're just like, good.
I'm just saying, if Islamabad doesn't win this year, we'll know why. Because last year we were there, they won. Last year we collaborated with the Toronto Nationals and they won. So there's one common denominator amongst all these teams, which is backward point.
And Rehanullah. Rehanullah is probably the more person that has dealt with more of the decision making than we have. But man, it's happening. The PSL is happening, and we're going to be covering it on a daily. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I need to ask you, who are your top 4 going in? Who do you think is going to make it? And no, India is not an option, as I know most definitely.
I think teams that will make it are Islamabad United, Quetta Gladiators. I think they've formed a really good team this year. I also want to say Multan Sultans. They've made the finals in the past 4 years consecutively. So they are consistently a good team. Can they make it over the finals? That's a question for them. We'll have to see. And then number 4, I want to say
Wild card.
What are the 5 teams? What are the 6 teams again?
Oh my god. You didn't say Lahore Qalandars, Karachi Kings, and
Karachi Kings. So
okay.
I don't think that Lahore or Zalmi will go through in the top 4.
Really? You
Yes.
don't think the prodigal son coming back into the team will do anything to that?
I think Zalmi has probably one of the best batting lineups, but their fast bowling to me seems weak.
Mhm.
Lahore is really behind on the spin bowling department. So they have recruited Rashad Hussain, but he is kind of really raw. So that's the couple of reasons why I would say Lahore and Zalmi will not go through top four. Again, this is just my predictions. This is random.
You're already
But
cooked.
I've seen Islamabad, they have retained a lot of their main guys from last year.
And they've added good pieces as well.
And they're a team that believes in peaking at the right time. So even if they're losing the first couple of matches, don't be worried because they believe in having just an upward curve towards the end half of the innings and their players firing at the right time. I remember last season, Imad Wasim was a big flop the first 6 matches, and everybody made fun of Islamabad United for picking Imad Wasim. And not only just picking him, but consistently playing him despite his failures. But in the end, Imad was the clutch player. I think player of the match in the eliminator and the final. Just a clutch guy, especially at the PSL level.
100%. I think my top 4 are Islamabad United, Multan Sultans, Peshawar Zalmi, and Karachi Kings. I think Karachi have sort of turned it around.
They have
everything.
They also have a really new kit, which looks very nice.
I think the kits this year are great. I think Lahore is just pretty basic. But
Lahore last year had the entire Lahore map on the pitch.
They still have that. Some sort of that.
There was a moment last year when I was in Lahore and I almost got lost, and I was like, "Can somebody give me a Lahore Qalandars kit, and so I can just navigate my way through?" But this year they've removed the map and they've gone a bit more minimalistic.
Yeah, I think. I don't know what's going on with Lahore's kit, but I think the Karachi.
They also just hosted a jalsa at the Minar Pakistan.
That's very. I don't even want to say. Can we say Imran Khan's name on this? Oh wait, we're not on the TV, so we
804.
Yeah, 804. Baniye PTI. I don't know. Yeah, so those are my top 4. I think it's gonna be a tough competition with 6 teams. I'm actually waiting for more teams to be added, so it becomes a bit more competitive.
Sialkot, we've heard, is going to be one of the teams.
We've heard, but we cannot confirm. X Dekho. Did you dekh the X?
No.
Did you not? I have not seen the music video yet, but I've heard a snippet.
I have seen the music video.
And it's really bad. I love Talha Anjum. I think what he's done for the city of Karachi is commendable. Give that man a statue. But damn, this is bad. This is pretty bad. And it sucks even more because we've gone to Abrarul Haq and Ali Zafar when we have people like Hassan Rahim and Abdul Hanan and all Manu and all these crazy good producers and singers and Natasha Nurani. Like so many
Manu made
people.
A really good anthem for Multan Sultans last season.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just upset that this is the lineup that we got. I'm not upset about the Lanjum as much because it feels like 4 different songs and it's bad.
Just a wild collab. Talha Anjum, Abrarul Haq, Ali Zafar,
Natasha Beg. Like, anyways. Yeah, I'm not really happy for this. I think there are other anthems in the PSL anthology that are a lot more interesting, honestly. And I will not be interested in watching this anthem again.
The PCB is actually recruited some really interesting names for commentary this year. Have you seen?
The commentary panel is interesting and also a little bit thin in my opinion.
Shahid Afridi's favorite commentator has joined in.
Mark Nichols?
Thanks, Mark Nicholas. Allegedly, that is what he said.
If you know,
you know.
If you know, you know. No, I think they did the best they could. That's all I'm going to say. It's not. There's no Ian Bishop there. There's no Ian Smith.
Alistair Cook.
No Alistair Cook. Yeah. I mean, Alistair Cook is in there, but
he's gonna cook.
Yeah, he's gonna. Oh, we'll see. I don't know how good he is. With the commentary of it all. Who's that guy? I forget the name. The bald guy. That
Danny Morrison.
Danny, is he in it? Is he in the IPL?
No, I don't see Danny here.
Danny's on it. Danny's also a fan favorite. So yeah, Rambo's in there.
Rambo is here. Wasim Akram is here as well.
Wasim Akram is in there.
So I guess Wasim Akram has left the Karachi Kings administration.
Yeah, the A Sports stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And for the first time in PSL history, it's going to be a different Urdu feed.
Okay.
So you know how India actually has
3 or 4 feeds. Actually.
Hindi feed. I think there's a Telugu feed. There's a Tamil feed.
Yeah.
So different feeds going on.
Yeah.
And the PSL used to have like 5-hour time slots for just random Urdu commentary.
Yeah.
Even on the English feed, like if you're watching in the UK, like randomly Tariq Saeed is speaking Urdu for like 5 years.
Tariq Saeed, cricket.
Jab tak darzi siyega, jab tak jiyega.
Okay, what the heck? No, I'm interested in that. I'm glad that they're going back to their roots and actually promoting some more.
Salman Butt is also one of the commentators.
Yeah, I no comments about that. I'm gonna wrap this up because I gotta watch some Severance, bro.
Let's do it.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the Patreon family for existing, honestly, keeping the lights on. Thank you for Taimur Rabani, TR, for being the executive producer. Thank you for Ali Masood 34 for also being the executive producer. If you guys want to be an executive producer of the podcast, go on our Patreon, sign up for the executive list. You get all the perks. You get to be in our Patreon WhatsApp chat, which everybody loves. And you get to be part of that elite community that talks about cricket all the time, every day, and all that. I actually posted a video, very cute video. Maybe I'll post it on the main channel, maybe not. But of my son bowling to you
With both hands.
with both hands rolling, and the chat loved
And
that.
that reminded me of this one bowler that Lahore Qalandars founded. This is back in 2016-17.
The ambidextrous one,
Ambidextrous fast bowler.
insane.
So this guy his name was Yasir Jan. He used to bowl right arm outswing, 140 kp at speed, and then left arm in swing, 130 kp at speed. Right arm action like Dale Steyn, left arm like Wasim Akram.
My God, where is this guy?
He went to Lords to train, and very quickly he picked up a lower back stress fracture because I don't think he was quite skinny back then. His body did not have the muscle mass to take in the load of bowling fast with both arms. He didn't have the right muscle group trained in.
Yeah.
And then he had a lower back injury. Lahore Qalandars dropped him from his PDP program, and then he went to play club cricket in the UK and Australia, and now he's like somewhere in Islamabad.
Yeah.
Very sad story.
He's there where we're not, unfortunately. Yeah. Sad for him. But if you're Yasir Jan, listen to the podcast, yo, come on the podcast. I don't think you listen to the podcast, Bashar. Unfortunately.
On that note, guys, we'll see you guys on Saturday for Backward Point's marathon coverage of the PSL.
Start Saturday?
Backward Point, PSL Daily, happening this Saturday.
I got to move some things around.
We'll see you guys there.
See you guys there.